What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Tess if you don't know me already, and in today's video I want to talk about a topic that's very close to my heart and something that I know I wouldn't even say many people struggle with. Most people struggle with it at some point, and that is acne. I have talked about this on my Instagram and my podcast, and I think it is important to share my skin journey for a few reasons. I think there are, one, a lot of estheticians and skin professionals like me who might feel down on themselves or like they're not as much of an esthetician as the next person because they haven't quite managed their acne yet. And that's one of the big driving factors behind why I want to share this video. I also don't want my clients to think I'm somebody who's never struggled with their skin. I had a client recently tell me, "Oh, I just thought you were another esthetician who's never had to deal with acne and doesn't really know what it feels like to struggle with acne." And she was really intrigued by me sharing the story, and she suggested that I share it more and with more people, and I do think it's important. I think at the end of the day, I don't want somebody to think they're watching this video to learn how to cure or clear their acne. I see so many videos on YouTube where it's like the before picture of somebody struggling with acne and, you know, now they're totally clear skin, and whatever the thumbnail title is, how I cleared my acne, how I cured my acne, how I got rid of my acne in this little amount of weeks or months. And I feel it is my responsibility as a skincare professional to set a realistic expectation for people's skin, because what happens when people can't attain that goal or, you know, that thumbnail title of clearing their skin in a couple weeks, then they feel they're doing something wrong. And I know how that feels firsthand. So I want to show some of the photos, some of the footage behind when I was struggling with my acne, and it was a really low point in my life. So I want to make this video so people know they're not alone. If you're an esthetician struggling with acne, doesn't make you any less of an amazing esthetician. Acne is a disease of the skin for which there is no known cure. I feel like I need to repeat that. There is no known cure for acne. Even Accutane is not considered a cure, and that would be an absolute last resort because of the side effects and how it affects your body. No judgment, but I just want to be clear, there's really no cure or magic pill or detox drink that will cure your acne. No diet, even no topical. So we have to understand that reality about acne. And the reason we can't cure it or clear it is because it is cyclical in nature. That means you have to be preventative about acne. And this is not to discourage anyone. Yeah, to discourage anybody. I've said this in the past and I got a comment like, "Why are you trying to make us feel bad and hopeless and like there's no, you know, cure for my acne?" I want to tell you the opposite. There is so much hope on the other side. There are a lot of effective ways to manage the condition, but that needs to be the operative word when we're talking about acne. And you really can't trust content you see online from creators, especially non-professionals, who are advising you on how to cure or clear your acne, because there's just no cure. If there was, we would all know about it and it would be fantastic. I wouldn't care if it would mean I had less clients. If there was a cure for acne, I would love for everybody to have it, but there just simply isn't. Our hormones are always in flux. Our lifestyle and the bacteria buildup, the cells that accumulate on our skin that can cause acne, these are all cyclical things. So it's never a one and done, but there are some effective things that helped me manage my condition. And I was hesitant to talk about them because everybody's skin is different. It's crazy. I see a new face every day when I am working on skin, and what is the recipe that I would recommend for one person's acne is not going to be the same for the next person who is dehydrated and sensitive, while somebody else is oily and dealing with hormonal acne. It's so different. Everybody has different success as well, so I want people to understand that. Even when I share transformation photos, which is kind of just part of the industry, it can be really inspiring, but part of me does feel bad because just because I had great success with one person doesn't mean the next person can expect perfectly clear skin. They can't expect the same result, and you can't put the same timeline on it. Everyone truly is different, but I want to talk a little bit about when and how I started struggling with my acne, how it felt at the time, and give you guys some information about how I did manage my acne. Bear in mind, this is not a recommendation for what will work for you. Just want to get that out of the way. I know I'm gonna get some comments, should I use this product? The best way to discuss that is by booking a virtual consult with me, just because everyone is so unique and I like to get the whole picture of skin health. It's not just about the product somebody is using, it is about their lifestyle, their stress levels, their diet, their triggers, their overall health, anything that could be a source of underlying inflammation. And there are a lot of things we have to do to manage each individual's acne condition. So now that I got all those long disclaimers out of the way, let's get into the video. Don't forget to like this video if you do like it. Leave a little comment. I read everyone and they truly make me so happy. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos. Okay, now the first thing I want to talk about in my acne journey, and I'll try not to ramble too much and make this video too long, but I do want to talk a little bit about emotionally where I was in my life at the time I started struggling with acne. I think that is such a huge piece, the whole mood and happiness factor behind acne. It is hugely common for people who are struggling with depression or feeling sad or hopeless or really stressed out to notice a shift in their skin around that time. That is because raising our cortisol levels and lowering our serotonin does lead to increased levels of oil production, and it can result in higher androgen imbalance, which is our sex hormone, and it can overall contribute to a higher sensitivity in the body and more inflammation. So mood is so hugely connected to acne, and for any of my clients struggling with acne, I like to ask them if they can pinpoint the shift in their skin to any major changes or new stresses in their life. So at the time I started struggling with my acne, I was undergoing a huge shift. I was working at a corporate job in LA. It was very much a 9-to-5 grind, and it was a great job, but it was a very fast-paced job. I worked in the news industry, and it's just a very fast-paced, high-stress job, especially for what I personally got out of it. And I felt very glued to my desk, glued to my phone. I didn't want to miss a breaking news story. So I was just moving at a really fast pace until it kind of just started to break me down, and I knew I had to leave LA because it was just too much for me. And I'm sure you guys can tell now, that's not really my vibe. I don't know, thinking about having that kind of job, it feels so not me anymore. I don't know how I did it. But anyhow, I was so stressed out. I felt like I had to get out of my job, and I ended up moving home to the Bay Area. I don't know how I can truly express this, but having that job in LA was something I had worked for literally most of my life. I had worked so hard in high school to get into the college I wanted to go to, worked so hard in college to get great grades and find great internships and great jobs. Then I worked my way up to get that job by working a lot of very strenuous jobs in Los Angeles. Leaving that job was definitely not easy, and I just constantly had anxiety about it, wondered if I was doing the right thing, if I was like being too weak-minded for just giving up. I was really hard on myself and really doubted myself a lot, even though something inside me was saying like, you need to switch gears, you need to go home, you need to get recentered and just think about what is going to bring you happiness in your life. I just kept thinking, what if I made a mistake? Can I go back to my old life? Did I make the right decision? So I was really stressed out and just in a big like life 180, I would say. So I moved home. I actually started working for my family business for a little bit while I started esthetician school. And it was I remember right around the time I started esthetician school that all of a sudden, mind you guys, I'd never had breakouts. I was just always that kid and that person in college who never broke out. Like nothing could break me out. I would fall asleep in my makeup. I used Neutrogena wipes. Like I have no idea what I used for my skincare, but it was not anything fancy. It was definitely drugstore products. I had no rhyme or reason for what I used. I put on pounds of makeup every day and yeah, never had a breakout. All of a sudden, as I'm starting school to become a skincare therapist, my face just really almost blew up overnight with breakouts along my jawline. My cheeks were the main area and it was little tiny papules. And I don't want anyone to look at the photos and think like, oh, yours wasn't even that bad, because it's so relative for everybody. So if you can imagine like leaving behind your old life and a really good job to just start over and go to a trade school and become a skin therapist was really daunting. Plus, on top of that, I was somebody who had never had breakouts. All of a sudden, as I'm entering school to be this esthetician, I had breakouts all along my jawline, all along my cheeks were full of little tiny breakouts. My forehead, I really struggled with little tiny breakouts there as well. I don't want anyone to look at it and compare it to their acne and be like, you didn't really even have that bad of acne. I would say it was grade 2. But it's so relative. Your experience is so relative, and just especially going from never breaking out to having this condition all of a sudden, it was really daunting. This was actually around the time I started my YouTube channel, and there I was giving advice on whatever little skincare products I was using, Glossier, I think, I don't know. And all of a sudden I had a face full of breakouts. So I did what most people do, which is go see a dermatologist. And I had kind of the classic experience where they don't spend much time with you at all. And I don't think this is true of all derms, and I think very highly of the job. But I think it's all too common for people to go to a dermatologist and just be handed a prescription without spending much time at all, without talking about your level of sensitivity, without talking about what else you're using or how the skin is prepped for this strong medication. And they must have given me a 0.05 percentage, something really strong, and they gave me the gel formula as opposed to the cream. The cream is actually something I use now, and I think it can be, again, fantastic for the right person, but they gave me a really harsh formula for somebody with young, not strong at all, breakout prone, sensitized skin. So I had the classic experience where I tried tretinoin. After about the 3rd or 4th time I used it, my face started, I remember this so vividly, going to pat my face with a towel and my face being on fire. From that point on, I couldn't use water, let alone my Glossier, whatever it was, that milky jelly cleanser. couldn't use that without my face burning and literally peeling off like Elmer's glue. It was just a horrible, horrible feeling. You feel so helpless, and I just remember thinking, a doctor gave me this. How could this be wrong or bad for me? Like, I must be doing something wrong. So anyhow, I had that experience, and then that was also about the time that I started SD school. And people have asked me, like, how did you feel during that time? And I felt so ashamed. Like, even though I was just starting the program, I felt like I was supposed to have all the answers, and I felt this deep shame, and I felt like the only one in the class, and I felt like when I introduced myself or got partnered with somebody, they were just looking at my acne and judging me. I definitely felt just embarrassed, and it couldn't be more normal, but it was hard for me to look anybody in the eye. It was just all consuming. Like, it's the first thing that I thought of when I met somebody new. And yeah, it really takes a toll on your confidence. I preach all the time that you are not your skin, and it shouldn't dictate your confidence. But when you're in that skin, it really is very different. And I just want to pause right here and acknowledge any SDs who are struggling with acne and let you know it is, to this day, one of my biggest driving factors in the job. I do specialize in acne, and I have a lot of acne clients, and I don't think every esthetician by any means has to struggle with acne to be a good esthetician. I think everybody finds meaning in their own ways, but for me, just having that experience and kind of knowing when I meet somebody, I can tell, like, if they're avoiding eye contact, it really hits home, and I do know how that at least felt for me. So if you are struggling with acne, I just want you to know it can propel you so much in your career. It can give you meaning and really allow you to want to help people. This story does have a happy ending. I don't struggle with breakouts in a chronic sense anymore. I mean, they will pop up occasionally, but it's no longer like this unmanageable situation. It's kind of just your normal pimples that happen here and there. And through this process, it has shown me the power of professional skincare and how seeking out the right expert and using the right products truly is the difference maker. And yeah, it's really shown me the power of professional skincare and professional help, and it has made me want to be the same source of help for other people. So just know, if you are struggling, it is completely normal. Even estheticians struggle with breakouts, and it could actually be one of the reasons somebody is excited to work with you, or that somebody really connects with you. Don't get down on yourself. Do not get discouraged. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and I think it can make you a very strong esthetician. I feel like everybody has those like defining moments looking back on their acne journey that just remind them of their lows. I mean, even walking into that dermatologist's office was just, I don't know, it just felt horrible to me, because I was just reminded, like, I'm here for a reason, and an actual doctor is diagnosing my skin as acneic. And I never had that before, so it was just really jarring and strange. And to be handed a medication for it, it just kind of like solidified, like, you have a problem and you haven't been able to fix it yourself. I also shared this story on my podcast, and I think on my Instagram too. I put it all out there for you guys. But one of the worst experiences was, and I feel like so many people can relate to this, but I remember getting ready for a date. He was like this guy that I never, I don't know, I always thought super highly of him, and I was like so excited when he reached out and asked me on a date. So of course I spent, I think, like 2 hours, maybe more, getting ready. My whole thing was like, I love to do this. It was like putting on a little silk robe and like sitting by my vanity and doing my makeup and blasting music and just taking my time. Like, that was my therapy. I loved that. And all of a sudden, like, doing my makeup was not enjoyable because it was about fixing a problem that couldn't be fixed. And if you have acne and you struggle with that texture, you know, makeup just, I didn't understand this at the time, but it is really hard to apply makeup when you have so much texture. Not to say people shouldn't wear makeup when they have acne. Do whatever makes you happy, but it is really hard to completely even out that texture. And for me, it just essentially exacerbated things more. I mean, and this was part of the problem, but I was used to applying really oil-based cream products. I loved cream highlighters, cream foundations, cream blushes, and bronzer sticks. A lot of cream products or stick products that were very comedogenic, and I had no idea what that even meant, but that was the type of makeup I liked because it was very glowy and dewy. And now I know when you see glowy and dewy in a makeup product, it's probably not acne safe and it is a recipe for breakouts. Anyhow, I was getting ready for this date and this is so strongly ingrained in me. Trying to do my makeup, feeling like it wasn't good enough and I wasn't pretty, and I just felt like this guy was gonna look at me. And honestly, guys, my biggest fear, and this is still something I'm working on, which is ridiculous, but it is not being perfect. I have always tried to be good or just like perfect and liked by everyone, which is impossible, and it's something that I'm working on. But it was almost like I had that imperfection like tattooed across my face, whereas in every other aspect of my life, like my clothes I bought or the makeup I bought, how I worked out, I could do all of those things to a certain level to attain the degree of perfection I wanted. So I was always very much in control of my outward appearance. All of a sudden, this thing was totally out of my control. I didn't know how to manage it. And I'm just getting ready for this date feeling so vulnerable because that imperfection was, again, just all over my face. So I remember doing my makeup, running to the bathroom, and I remember just feeling so like panic stricken because I was actually now like getting very late to the date. And I remember like by the time I was supposed to be leaving, my face still wasn't done and I was almost in tears because I just kept running back to the bathroom and washing my face, redoing my makeup, hating it, and then washing it all over again. By the end of this little fiasco, my skin was raw, sensitized, red, breakouts everywhere. I was trying to pop them and then apply makeup over it to get rid of it so this guy wouldn't see. It was just exhausting, and at a certain point I just gave up because I had to leave and I didn't want to bail. And I just remember talking to him and him asking what I did for work and what I wanted to do with my career, and I told him I was in school to be a skin therapist. And I have no idea if he was thinking this, but I'm sure Esties with acne can relate to somebody just like looking at you confused or even like saying something. And he didn't say anything. I have no idea if he was thinking this, but I just felt like I knew he was thinking like, how are you going to give people advice about their skin when yours is clearly a mess? And I think a lot of Esties have that belief that they won't be able to get a job or clients will think less of them because they have acne. and it's just an unrealistic standard, and it's not fair to hold us to that standard of perfection when we are all human. And breakouts in large part are out of our control because they are so hormonally driven. Not to say we can't create the best environment for your skin to be balanced and happy and less reactive to every little thing. That was another piece of the puzzle at the time. I had no strength to my skin. My barrier was completely stripped and compromised. So every little new thing that came at it, whether it was pollution or the external environment, putting on new makeup, trying a new product, every little thing made it break out. You want your skin to be predictable, and that is one of the signs of a healthy barrier. Doesn't mean you never break out, but it shouldn't be like the wind blows, like I'm breaking out. So that was my horrible date experience. And I would say the other worst part about struggling with acne is all of the unsolicited advice you get from strangers about what product you could use to miraculously like manage your acne. I remember my dad like coming home from the Dollar Tree with a bag, bless his heart, but a bag of acne products that were just like, I don't know, the harshest benzoyl peroxide products that you could buy for $1. And those just made my skin more irritated because there was no quality formulation, which is something that's huge and I will touch on at the end of the video. But I'm sure you guys are kind of wondering what I was using at the time and what I was doing that was different than what I do now. So I think another huge piece of it was there was no rhyme or reason for anything I used on my skin. I would basically just buy, I was a beauty junkie, and I loved like all the cool it girl brands. You know, I loved seeing like what was the new brand of the moment at Sephora, and I would just hop on that, like whatever new brand that popped up at Sephora or my friend or some model or influencer was using. Oh my gosh, I would watch all of the Vogue skincare routine videos. I loved the blog Into the Gloss. I would just buy any product that like a model mentioned, and I think there's a lot of people do that. So you are getting zero judgment from me if you do that, but I do think it is a mistake people make, and they just assume if somebody who has great skin is using something, that product must be the reason, and it's probably because they just have great skin and great genetics. So I would strongly advise you to look to professionals and have somebody customize a skincare routine for you. That is why I now do what I do. But yeah, I used whatever products that were cool of the moment. I remember using this like Boscia charcoal cleansing stick, which was just awful and way too harsh for my skin type. I used a lot of Glossier cleansers and moisturizers, and a lot of brands that I saw at Sephora that like looked clinical, like Peter Thomas Roth or Dr. Jart or Dr. Dennis Gross. Like I just thought I thought I could judge the efficacy of a product based on the packaging and the marketing, which you cannot. So yeah, I basically was just in this like revolving door of trying new products, over exfoliating a ton, buying whatever peel product. I bought the Glossier peel thing. I bought the Dr. Dennis Gross peel pads. One of the, I think, like shadiest secrets about the beauty industry, specifically companies that create peels, is they advertise you to use their products way more than you should. Paula's Choice, same thing, and it's because they want you to run out and buy more. They don't care about your barrier function. There is truly no person who should be using a peel every day. That is something you do as a deeper treatment and you just can't exfoliate all your problems away. You really need to keep that barrier intact. It is the protective lipid layer that is going to protect you from any external inflammation sources. So don't over exfoliate. That is like probably one of my biggest tips. And just bear in mind, those products are meant to be used like a couple times a week max. There is no need to overdo it. I remember feeling like I was really getting somewhere because my texture was great for like 3 days when I was using the Dr. Dennis Gross peel pad. And then like I think by the end of the week, it was just raw, inflamed, breaking out, and I kept repeating that vicious cycle. Of course, at this time, I also started esthetician school, which was awesome, but at the same time, I was already doing too much at home. My dad did say at one time, he was like, "Do you think there's a chance you're doing too much?" And I was like, he doesn't know anything about skincare. I think that's the only time he has been right. Once I started SD school, that was really just more fuel to my acne flame, because all of a sudden I went from dealing with little tiny breakouts to it getting really inflamed. And I mean, at the time, I had so many different hands on my face. No offense, but none of us knew what we were doing. Who knows if our hands were fully clean when we were giving facials? And all of a sudden, I had this whole onslaught of new professional products, which are great, but I always advise people to try one thing at a time, really go slow, and you just don't do that in SD school. It's like, here's your kit, okay, we're gonna do facials every week, we're gonna do peels every week, and I was just using stuff that was way stronger than I was ever used to. So it's a lot of overstimulation and a lot of massage over inflamed acne, which is the last thing you want to do, but we had to get our hours in and complete our practicals. So it was like, okay, this intense cleanser, this intense peel, 10 minutes of facial massage and oil over your face that is completely breaking out. So that was another piece of the puzzle. And I'll try to wrap up kind of some of the things that were going on at the time. But after school, I started working at a skincare retail store, and I was, again, trying new products all the time. We took home samples probably every day. So my poor skin, just thinking about it, like, makes me sad. And truly, there was nothing in that store that was intended to be successful at managing somebody's acne. It was a lot of, I mean, beautiful natural products, but nothing for acne management. And something I will say, although botanical based products are my preference, and I don't have a problem with a great formulation that has essential oils, but a lot of those products were just products that anybody could make. They were not intended to be treatment products, and a lot of them were so overstimulating because of the amount of oils and essential oils in them that it just, I mean, my acne just kept honestly getting worse from there. And the people working in the store were great estheticians, and I think their treatments were lovely, but they really weren't acne specialists, and none of them had acne. And I would ask them for advice about my skin. I'd be handed this product and that, and it was just like this cycle of overdoing it, overstripping. Take another little pause here to give you guys kind of an idea of how many people can work to manage their acne. You need 5 things to help manage acne. And again, this is a very broad piece of advice, but so take it with a grain of salt. But the first is you need calming ingredients. It's, I mean, if you think about Proactive or any of those like strong Stridex, was that the name of it? Any of those like strong acne lines from the 90s, early 2000s, a lot of those kits, or a lot of acne kits in general, they are missing the calming piece. And we can't just aggravate and inflame the skin more, because acne starts with an inflamed follicle. So adding more of that irritation is just the worst possible thing you can do. And we do want to address the acne with the right topicals, but you need calming ingredients. So that was missing from my routine for sure. And you also need hydration. I didn't understand this at the time. I thought hydration meant like a thick moisturizer. Hydration comes from water, so you need water-based topicals such as hyaluronic acid or an aloe-based product. Lots of humectants that will give your skin the hydration it needs to heal, and so that you can balance your oil. Speaking of oil, not all acneic people have excess oil, but you do want to look at the oil levels and balance them out where needed. So that's where ingredients such as salicylic acid can come in handy. The third thing you need is exfoliation. We have to keep the mouth of that follicle or that pore open so that oxygen can get in. When oxygen gets in, that acne causing bacteria cannot thrive. So exfoliation is good in moderation. We do need oil control. Not every acneic person has excess oil, but oftentimes they do, and that's where ingredients like salicylic acid or a kaolin or sulfur mask can come in. And the last thing we need is antibacterial ingredients. Again, ingredients such as salicylic acid can be a really great one. Fulvic acid is another great antibacterial ingredient. One of my favorite products I think any acneic person can start with is the Fulvic elixir from Glymed. I will link it below, and I don't like to give broad acne advice, but this one I would recommend for everyone because it is such a hydrating and healing and calming, but also antibacterial and antifungal ingredient. So fantastic, especially for people wearing their masks right now. Oh, getting rid of that bacteria is key. So I really had only a couple of those things, and again, there was no rhyme or reason or consistency in my routine. So I was struggling for the longest time, and at this point in the video, I want to talk about some of the solutions that helped me and how I personally managed my acne overall. Again, this is not advice for you, and yeah, just take this broadly, but I think a lot of these are things that can apply to other people. The first thing that was major in my acne transformation was professional help. I started getting professional extractions. This is the point where I'd actually met Douglas Preston, who's been on my podcast a bunch. He is an acne specialist, and I went to go see him actually for an advanced acne course. And then I asked him, do you think I would benefit from one of your facials? And he was like, yeah, I see some congestion there. So I started getting facials with Douglas. I recommend him to anyone in the Bay Area. I drive 2 hours to see him because he is so worth it. I find a lot of facialists don't focus on extractions, and that's fair because they're not acne specialists. Douglas is an acne specialist, and he actually invented an extractor tool that really gets in deep and gets everything out. So I started seeing him consistently over about, I still see him now, not as frequently, but I started seeing him over the course of a year and a half, about once every month or two. And that was key in managing the condition. Just having those extractions over the course of time really helped to alleviate that congestion, and I started just the amount of breakouts was slowly reduced. So even though I don't work in the treatment room, I recommend a lot of my acne clients go get a facial, go get some extractions from somebody who knows what they're doing, and get a lot of that stuff out so that your home care can help you manage the condition, but still like getting that underlying stuff out is very important. Number 2, I started working at a spa that has a great reputation, and I started using their professional products with consistency. That is something I have done up until this day. I simply don't skimp on my skincare because the most affordable way to manage your acne truly is with your home care products. By spending a few more dollars on some key core products, you are really going to save yourself from running in circles at the drugstore and just buying whatever. This is where formula truly matters. You might look at the ingredients at a clean beauty product or a product at the drugstore and be like, the ingredients are technically great. Formula matters, and where ingredients fall on the label, how they are combined, the delivery systems, the pH level and balance of the product, all these things that go into the formulation are so key, and that's something that's not talked about or understood enough. You can't just simply look at the ingredients on the back of a product and know if it is good or bad. So that's why I personally really rely and trust and reach for professional products. That I know there is some debate about, oh, that I have confidence will get my clients the results they're after. I don't want to waste anybody's time, and for that reason I don't recommend drugstore or over-the-counter products, because I don't have the same confidence in if they can actually treat their skin conditions. So that was key, getting on a consistent professional routine and being super intentional about my routine. Instead of just buying whatever oil of the moment or buying something because a blogger told me to, my routine was so consistent, and I used things because I understood their purpose and their place in the routine. Once I started using better products, I was also naturally adding in more hydration and more calming ingredients rather than just constantly stripping and exfoliating my skin. A next piece I have to mention that is really key was my diet. And although I've always been a super healthy person, I had to look at certain sources of inflammation, such as dairy or the alcohol I was binge drinking on the weekend. I no longer drink, and that has been, I think, very integral in my skin's progress. And it's not for everybody, but I did eliminate alcohol. So eliminated alcohol, dairy, and peanuts. For me, I found peanuts were very inflammatory. They are a very high androgen food, so they can disrupt your hormones. And I was somebody who would get home late from my job working at a spa, and I would be so famished that I would just reach for like 5 spoonfuls of peanut butter, and I would wake out with a face full of breakouts. So I no longer touch peanut butter. I will use cashew butter, which I actually prefer now, and I find that one doesn't break me out, but nuts can be a very high allergen and high inflammatory food. Lastly, I had to look at my makeup products, and I was such a makeup junkie, you guys. I just like my skincare, I would buy whatever cool new makeup product came out, not giving a second thought to whether it was acne safe. It didn't even cross my mind, and I didn't even know that that could be a thing. I didn't even understand how makeup could impact the skin. So something key I did was I switched to mineral makeups, which tend to be less comedogenic. They tend to be more healing and protective for the skin, and they also provide additional sun protection. So I am a big advocate of mineral makeup. Some brands I love are Oxygenetics, Jane Iredale and Bare Minerals. I have a few products linked in my Amazon shop, so I will link that below. So yeah, those were some of the major things going on. I think it had a lot to do with stress, with my mood, with the skincare products, makeup products I was using, my sleep. I didn't even talk about that, but that was all over the place. I had insomnia for many years and my sleep was just all over the place. Yeah, my overall mood wasn't as balanced as it is now. And my biggest takeaway from this video is so many things can affect acne. So I know a lot of times we feel this responsibility to find the cause of our acne when there is no known cause, and it can be a combination of these different triggers. So I would recommend looking at the lifestyle as a whole and working with a trained professional to identify some of your triggers or things that may not stand out to you but might stand out to a professional. Okay guys, that is it for this video. I know I talked a ton, but thank you so much for listening to my acne journey. I hope it just helped you feel that you are less alone. Again, this is not intended to advise you on how to treat your acne, but I want you to know you are not alone in struggling with acne, and it is literally the most normal thing on the planet. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you. Please leave a comment letting me know what type of video you would like to see next, and I will see you in the next one.